What if I told you there's one subtle shift you can make today that will flip the emotional script and have him thinking about you non-stop? Not because you're texting first, not because you're constantly available, and definitely not because you're trying to play it cool. This is not about manipulation. This is about magnetic emotional gravity, something that pulls him in even when you're not around. Here's the truth. Most women aren't told. Men don't miss you when you're giving more. They miss you when they feel the space you create. The kind of space that awakens curiosity, triggers desire, and builds emotional tension in your absence. In this video, I'm going to show you the one move that creates that space naturally. A move so subtle, he won't even realize what's happening. But suddenly, you'll be on his mind in the middle of his meetings, during his workouts, even when he's out with friends. And no, it's not ghosting. It's not silent treatment. It's something far more powerful. Because once you understand this move, you won't need to chase, question, or worry. You'll know how to step back in a way that actually draws him closer and keeps you unforgettable. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share may completely shift how you approach love, dating, and emotional connection forever. Most people think men become emotionally addicted through constant attention, physical intimacy, or grand romantic gestures. But the truth is far more nuanced and far more powerful once you understand it. Emotional addiction doesn't happen when you're always there. It happens when he starts to associate unpredictable emotion with your presence. That doesn't mean being hot and cold or manipulative. It means understanding the psychology of anticipation, reward, and emotional contrast. Think about it. Our brains are wired to seek out what feels just out of reach. This is why people obsess over cliffhanger endings, why we binge watch shows, and why we chase highs in relationships. Emotional addiction is created when you're not predictable. When you show up fully in your power, offer warmth and connection, and then pull back not to punish but to reset the emotional energy, you become the person he thinks about when he least expects it. It's not the constant communication that hooks him. It's the emotional charge he feels in your absence. When a man feels something uniquely different with you, something he doesn't get from anyone else, that emotional signature becomes a pattern in his brain. He starts to crave it. Your energy becomes a trigger. Your silence isn't empty, it's loud, it echoes. And here's what most women don't realize: when you stop overgiving, stop proving your worth, and start letting him come toward you, you create room for his feelings to grow. Men need that space to feel the ache, to notice the absence, to realize something is missing, and that something is you. The more he feels like he can't quite figure you out, the more emotionally hooked he becomes. Because emotional addiction isn't about confusion, it's about fascination. And the women who master this dynamic are the ones who effortlessly stay on his mind long after the conversation ends. Stay with me, because up next we're diving into how the power of presence and absence creates that exact emotional charge that keeps him coming back. You don't need to do more, you just need to know when to step in and when to step back. Let's talk about something most people overlook when it comes to attraction: the energy of presence and the quiet, magnetic impact of intentional absence. Presence isn't just about being physically there, it's about how someone feels when they're with you. It's the energy you bring into a space, the way you listen, the way you make someone feel seen, the way your attention feels like a spotlight. When you're truly present with a man, when your phone is down, your energy is centered, and you're not trying to impress him, you instantly stand out. Because that kind of presence is rare, it's powerful, and it's unforgettable. But here's where most people get it wrong. They believe the more they give, the more present they are, the more connected they stay, the stronger the bond will grow. And while presence creates connection, constant presence can start to dull its impact. Just like hearing your favorite song every single day until you stop noticing the lyrics, emotional presence can lose its power when it's never interrupted by space. Absence creates contrast, and contrast is what heightens emotion. When you're gone, not as a punishment, but as a natural rhythm, your presence becomes something he feels even more intensely when you return. It's like when you walk into a room that smells like your favorite candle after being away for a while. You notice it again, it brings something up in you. That's how emotional memory works in relationships. When you create space, you allow desire to breathe. Men in particular are wired to process their feelings in space. When you're not constantly available, he's left to reflect, not just on you, but on how he feels around you. That's when real emotional attachment begins to form, not in the moments you're together, but in the echo of your absence. Here's the catch: absence only works when your presence was powerful to begin with. You have to give him something to miss. So show up fully when you're with him. Be present, be warm, be authentic. Then step back, not with bitterness or with a hidden agenda, but with confidence. Confidence that you don't need to chase anything that's meant for you. Confidence that your presence alone is a gift, and that your absence will only make him crave it more. This is the balance high-value women master. They don't overstay, they don't overcompensate. They move with intention, and they understand that the real power isn't in always being seen, it's in being felt, even when they're not around. Coming up next, I'll show you how to take this idea even deeper, with a silent move that speaks louder than words and leaves a lasting emotional imprint on his mind. Stay with me. Let's talk about something that can completely shift the dynamic in any connection. Something so often misunderstood: feminine energy. Now, I'm not talking about outdated gender roles or surface level ideas like just be soft or don't speak up. True feminine energy isn't about shrinking yourself or acting passive. It's about magnetic receptivity. It's about allowing rather than forcing. It's the quiet power that says, I don't chase, I attract. And when you understand how to use this energy not to manipulate, but to lead energetically, everything changes. In a world that constantly pushes women to perform, to prove, to pursue, feminine energy invites you to do the opposite. To lean back, to feel rather than analyze. To connect with your intuition instead of logic alone. It's the energy of trusting your value, even in silence. And when you start leading with that energy, men respond differently, immediately. Because here's what many women don't realize: masculine energy is drawn to something it can move toward. When you're always initiating, fixing, planning, explaining, you're in your masculine. You're taking up the space he's wired to fill. And it feels good short term because you're in control. But over time it depletes attraction. It makes him passive. He doesn't need to move toward you because you're already doing everything. Now imagine this: instead of proving your worth, you rest in it. Instead of trying to be chosen, you choose yourself first. You shift into receiving energy. You allow, you respond. You move in grace, not urgency. This doesn't mean you stop expressing needs. This doesn't mean silence when something's wrong. Feminine energy is not weakness, it's rooted confidence. It's emotional intelligence, softness with strength. It's the ability to be still without shrinking. That's what draws a man in, not because he's confused, but because he senses something different in you. Something secure, something he can't quite explain, but doesn't want to lose. When you live from this space, your energy tells a story before you ever speak. It says, I'm whole, with or without you, but I'm open to being met. That story is powerful. That's what shifts dynamics. You stop texting first just to keep a connection alive. You stop over-explaining when he pulls away. You stop bending over backward to be understood. Instead, you observe, you allow, you express when it matters, and let go when it doesn't. And here's the best part: when you shift into your feminine, you invite his masculine energy to rise. You give him room to lead, to pursue, to feel. That's when connection deepens. Not because of pressure, but because of polarity. So if you've ever felt like you're doing all the emotional work, all the talking, all the reaching, try stepping back into your feminine. Let your stillness speak. Let your energy invite, not chase. Coming up next, I'll show you the silent move that embodies this energy fully and makes him feel your absence in a way that leaves a mark. Don't go anywhere. There's a move that speaks louder than any confession of love. Louder than any text, louder than any attempt to explain yourself. And that move is silence. Not passive-aggressive silence. Not the kind meant to punish or manipulate. I'm talking about intentional silence. A deliberate, emotionally grounded pause that changes the entire emotional landscape between you and him. Here's the truth: men don't always respond to words. In fact, when emotions get intense, Explanations often make things worse. He doesn't hear your logic, he feels your energy. And when you step back in silence, with no drama, no blame, and no begging for clarity, it forces a completely different kind of response from him. One he doesn't expect, one he can't ignore. Most people are terrified of silence in a relationship. We rush to fill it. We reach out to fix it. We text when it feels quiet. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of one of the most powerful tools we have, the ability to shift energy by doing nothing. Not because we don't care, but because we care enough about our self-respect to not chase validation. The silent move is powerful because it creates space. And in that space, his emotional mind starts to wake up. He wonders where you went. He questions what shifted. He begins to notice the absence of your presence. That noticing is the beginning of emotional reflection. It's where longing begins. But here's what matters. Your silence only works when it's done with the right energy. If you go quiet out of fear or insecurity, that energy leaks through. But if you step back with calm self-assurance, with grounded detachment, not to manipulate, but to let go of control, that's when it speaks volumes. It says, I'm not here to convince you. I'm not here to chase you. I've already chosen me. Men feel this, and the emotionally mature ones respect it deeply, because they're not used to it. Most people react when they feel neglected. Most people get loud when they feel unheard. But when you respond with centered silence, it signals emotional strength. It leaves him sitting with his own feelings instead of being distracted by yours. This move doesn't require strategy. It doesn't require timing. It requires emotional discipline, the ability to sit with discomfort and let the silence work for you. That's power. Sometimes, silence is the only language someone will truly hear. And when it's backed by authenticity, not ego, when it comes from self-worth, not spite, it creates a ripple effect that words simply can't. Coming up, I'll show you real-life stories of women who used this exact move, not to play games, but to reclaim their peace, and what happened when the man on the other side finally felt the difference. You don't want to miss what happens next. Let me share with you a few real-life stories that show just how powerful this approach can be. Stories from women who decided to stop overgiving, reclaim their feminine energy, and use the silent move not as a strategy but as a reflection of self-worth. One woman I worked with, let's call her Mia, was in a 2-year on and off situation with a man who always kept her at arm's length. He'd come close, then pull away. She'd reach out, try to fix it, talk it through, explain her feelings, only to be met with vague responses or silence. It was draining. One day she decided to stop. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. She didn't send a dramatic text. She didn't demand answers. She simply pulled her energy back. She stopped initiating, stopped engaging in the emotional tug-of-war. For the first time, she gave the space room to breathe. At first, nothing. Silence. But then about 2 weeks in, the messages started. Hey, just thinking about you. Followed by I miss talking to you. And then finally, can we talk? When they spoke, he admitted that the silence made him realize what he was losing. He told her he had never felt her value more clearly than when she stopped trying to prove it. That conversation shifted everything. She didn't even need to convince him. He convinced himself. Another woman, Tara, used this approach after a breakup. Instead of sending emotional texts or trying to win him back, she focused inward. She returned to her passions, poured into her self-care, and allowed the silence to speak for her. She told me, I realized I had made him the main character of my story. I needed to become that again for myself. A month later, he reached out, apologetic, emotional, saying he'd never stopped thinking about her. But the best part, by that time, she had grown so much in her self-worth that she wasn't desperate for his return. She had options, she had clarity, and she was able to choose him from power, not from lack. These aren't fairy tales. These are women who stopped chasing, stopped explaining, and started leading with quiet, feminine strength. They didn't play games. They didn't manipulate. They simply showed what it looks like when a woman knows her value and doesn't fear losing someone who doesn't see it. When you stop over-functioning, people are forced to meet you where you are, or walk away. Either outcome is clarity. Either outcome is peace. And in many cases, like Mia and Tara, they do come back. because silence gave them space to feel what your presence used to fill. And once they feel that, they can't unfeel it. Up next, I'll show you what to avoid if you want this to work, and the one mistake that can undo everything you've built. Keep watching. If you want a man to miss you, truly miss you, there's one crucial thing you have to stop doing immediately. Stop chasing the connection. This is the biggest mistake women make when they feel him pulling away. It's instinctive, right? He gets quiet and you get louder, he withdraws and you lean in. You start texting first, initiating conversations, checking in just to say hi, trying to spark anything that feels like closeness. But here's the harsh truth. The more energy you pour into someone who isn't reciprocating, the more they subconsciously devalue that energy. Desire doesn't grow in a space that feels too accessible. It grows in contrast, in mystery, in the gaps. When you're constantly reminding him of your presence, you're removing the very space where longing is born. Another mistake, over-explaining your feelings. There's a time and place for honest communication, yes. But when you're constantly explaining why you feel hurt, anxious, confused, especially to someone who isn't emotionally available in that moment, you're not connecting. You're just leaking your power. You're trying to earn empathy from someone who isn't currently capable of giving it. And in doing so, you're reinforcing a dynamic where you're the one working to be understood, while he's just watching the effort without participating in it. You know what else kills emotional momentum? Trying to stay friends in hopes he'll miss you. Let's be honest, if your heart is still emotionally attached, playing the cool, casual friend is just emotional self-abandonment. You're giving him access to your warmth, your presence, your emotional energy, without requiring commitment or effort from him. And the worst part, he never has to miss you, because he never really loses you. Here's what you should never do. Don't check his social media stories to see if he's thinking about you. Don't post thirst traps hoping he'll reach out. Don't message him just to get a reaction. All of these are attempts to provoke, not to connect. And if you have to provoke someone to think about you, the emotional connection is already imbalanced. Here's the reality most people avoid. Missing you is his work, not yours. It's not your job to make him feel something. Your job is to step back, protect your peace, and give him the emotional space to either feel your absence or not. And if he doesn't, that's still information. That's still a gift, because now instead of dragging out a one-sided connection, you've created the clarity to move forward. When you stop overgiving, stop proving, and stop reaching out just to hold the connection together, you give him a chance to feel the cost of losing you. And that's what makes someone miss you. Coming up next, we're going to explore how to keep your energy magnetic, not just mysterious, but deeply attractive. Even when you're not saying a single word, you don't want to miss this. If you want to be unforgettable, you don't need to be louder, sexier, or more available. You need to master the balance between mystery and magnetism. And here's the key. Mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about not giving everything away too quickly. Think about it. We're naturally drawn to what we can't fully figure out, what feels slightly out of reach, not because it's playing hard to get, but because it has depth, and depth takes time to explore. When you're mysterious, it's not that you're distant or cold, it's that you leave space for curiosity to grow. You don't feel the need to over-explain yourself. You don't rush to fill silences. You don't immediately spill your entire life story on the first few dates. Not because you're guarded, but because you value your energy, your story, and your heart. Mystery keeps him wondering. Magnetism keeps him coming back. So what makes you magnetic? It's not how you look, it's how you feel to be around. It's the way you laugh fully, but don't chase approval. It's the way you listen with presence, but don't try to perform. It's how you stay rooted in your own vibe, your own joy, your own wholeness, regardless of whether he texts today or disappears for a week. A magnetic woman doesn't try to control the outcome. She knows her energy is valuable. She knows that if something doesn't align, it's not a loss, it's a redirection. And that confidence, that's what draws people in. That's what makes them feel safe, intrigued, and inspired all at once. Want to know the fastest way to lose magnetism? Oversharing too soon, seeking reassurance, asking where you stand before he's shown you any emotional investment. These things might feel necessary in the moment, but they dissolve the mystery. They put him in a position of emotional authority and make you look like you're searching for validation instead of standing in your value. Now, here's what mysterious magnetic energy does look like. You don't respond to every message instantly, not because you're playing games, but because you're busy living your life. You can be playful and flirty without being overly available. You give glimpses of your world, but not full access until it's earned. You know how to connect deeply, but you're also completely at peace in your own solitude. And when you move this way, something incredible happens. He starts to lean in. He starts to wonder about you. He doesn't feel entitled to your time. He feels grateful for it. And that shift creates the emotional investment you're looking for. Not because you asked for it, but because he feels it. So the next time you're tempted to explain, to chase, or to overshare, pause. Let your energy do the talking. The woman who holds something back, just enough to remain intriguing, she's the one who stays unforgettable. Up next, I'll show you how to close this energy loop, how to stay in your power, invite pursuit, and take back control of your love life for good. Stay tuned. So let's bring everything full circle. You've learned that emotional impact isn't made through constant presence, overgiving, or trying to prove your worth. It's made through alignment with your value, your energy, and your ability to hold space. The truth is, when a man misses you, it's not because of how many texts you sent or how often you showed up. It's because in your absence, he felt the weight of your presence and realized it wasn't something he could easily replace. But here's the deeper truth. This journey isn't really about making him miss you. That's just the surface. What it's really about is you returning to your power. It's about shifting from anxiety to self-trust, from chasing to attracting, from proving your worth to embodying it. Because once you operate from that space, everything changes. You stop wondering, what do I need to do to get his attention? And start asking, is this even someone who deserves mine? And that's when you become magnetic, not temporarily, but naturally, effortlessly, authentically. So what are your next steps? First, pause. If you've been overextending yourself emotionally, mentally, or energetically, just stop. Give yourself a reset, not to manipulate him into missing you, but to realign with you, with your joy, your power, your voice. Next, observe. How does he respond to that shift? Does he lean in? Does he step up? Or does he fade even further? Either way, it's a gift. Either way, you're getting the clarity you deserve without having to chase it. And finally, embody. Don't just watch this video and nod in agreement, live it. Practice silence when it's needed. Hold your energy with care. Speak only when it adds value, not out of fear of being misunderstood. Let your absence be intentional, your presence unforgettable. Now, if you're serious about mastering this energy, here's what I want you to do. Start showing up in your life the way you want to be loved. Start treating your own energy as sacred. Say no to what drains you. Say yes to what expands you. And if this video gave you the clarity or confidence you've been needing, take a second to like it. Drop a comment below. Tell me which moment or message hit you the hardest. I want to hear from you. And if you're not already subscribed, what are you waiting for? I release videos just like this every week to help you stop chasing and start attracting the love and life you deserve. Remember, you are not here to beg for breadcrumbs. You are not here to be chosen by someone who can't see your value. You are the prize. And once you truly believe that, everyone around you will start treating you like it too. So step back, let go, and watch what comes toward you. Your energy doesn't need to be louder. It just needs to be undeniable. Now that you've made it to the end of this video, I want you to take a deep breath and really sit with what you've just learned. This isn't just about making him miss you. This is about you coming home to yourself. Because when you take your energy back, when you stop chasing, stop proving, and stop over-explaining, something incredible happens. You start seeing your love life through a completely different lens, a clearer lens, a more powerful one. And from here forward, you get to make a decision to no longer play small, a decision to no longer be available for halfway love, mixed signals, or emotional breadcrumbs. A decision to stop handing your peace and your power to someone who hasn't earned it, because your love is not casual, your presence is not replaceable, and your energy is not free. It's time to act like it. So if this message resonated with you, if something deep in you said, "This is what I needed to hear," then this is your moment. Not to just feel empowered for 5 minutes, but to actually move differently. No more waiting for someone to realize your worth. No more holding your breath, hoping he comes back changed. No more shrinking to stay connected. Instead, stand tall in your standards. Lead with your feminine power. Walk away from anything that asks you to abandon yourself, and let the right energy rise to meet you. You deserve a love that feels certain, a connection that doesn't leave you anxious, a relationship where your silence is respected and your presence is cherished. But first, you have to stop giving yourself away so easily. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment and tell me what shift you're making today. Even if it's small, even if it's scary. Say it, claim it. One salon like this video. If you're done chasing and ready to start attracting from true self-worth, subscribe if you want more tools, strategies, and mindset shifts to help you step fully into your power and finally create the love life you deserve. You don't have to figure this out alone, because you are not here to be chosen. You are here to choose yourself boldly, unapologetically, and completely. That's when love starts showing up for you in ways it never has before. This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, your chapter. Now turn the page.